Ladies and gentlemen, winning the morning is one of the simplest ways to create powerful change, because the first decisions of the day often determine the rest of the day. Most people wake up reacting to alarms, reacting to messages, reacting to problems. But a morning built on reaction puts you behind before you've even begun. When you decide to win the morning, you claim the first victory before the world has a chance to influence you. You start the day with intention instead of accident. Small choices like getting up when you said you would, making your bed, organizing your thoughts, or spending a few minutes in silence may seem insignificant, but they create momentum. They tell your mind that you are in control. They reinforce discipline before distractions arrive. And discipline practiced early becomes discipline practiced throughout the day. Winning the morning also means choosing the first activities that nourish your mind and strengthen your direction. The early hours are quiet, unbroken, and free from the noise that fills the rest of the day. This is the time to read, plan, think, and prepare. When you take even 10 minutes to focus on your goals, your priorities, or your values, you shape the lens through which you see every decision ahead. Instead of drifting into the day, you step into it with clarity. You begin with purpose rather than pressure. Even a short period of mental preparation primes your brain for productivity. It's not the length of the routine that matters. It's the intention behind it. The morning is also the best time to develop self-respect, because keeping promises to yourself creates an inner confidence that no one else can give you. When you get up at the time you chose, not the time convenience dictates, you send yourself a message: my word matters. When you start with one completed task, no matter how small, you begin stacking wins. These early wins create positive momentum, and momentum is one of the greatest forces in personal development. A slow start often leads to a sluggish day, but a strong start leads to a productive one. Winning the morning is really about winning your mindset before the world has the chance to pull it in different directions. Another power of the morning lies in simplicity. You don't have to overhaul your entire routine. You only need a few consistent habits. Something that grounds your thoughts, something that moves your body, something that organizes your priorities, something that lifts your energy. A morning routine should not be complicated. It should be consistent. Consistency creates stability. Stability creates confidence. And confidence creates better decisions throughout the day. When you begin your morning with intention, you reduce stress because you've already established control. You no longer rush, stumble, or scramble. You move with clarity. Winning the morning transforms not just the day, but your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who leads your life instead of reacting to it. You begin to trust yourself because you've built a pattern of follow through. You begin to expect more from yourself because you've proven that you can start strong. A single disciplined morning may not change your life, but a week of them changes your rhythm. A month of them changes your habits, and a year of them changes your entire direction. Feeding your mind with daily learning is one of the fastest ways to elevate your thinking, your confidence, and your results. Most people don't realize how quickly a mind can change when it's given the right material. A single idea, a single sentence, even a single perspective can alter the way you see an opportunity or solve a problem. When you make learning a daily habit, you're not just gathering information, you're sharpening your awareness. You begin to notice things you previously overlooked. You start making connections that weren't obvious before. Knowledge opens your eyes, and once your eyes are open, you can never go back to the way you used to think. Making learning part of your daily routine doesn't require hours of study. It often starts with something as simple as reading 10 pages. 10 pages may seem small, but small habits practiced consistently can reshape your entire mindset. Those 10 pages introduce you to new ideas, new strategies, and new ways of thinking that gradually accumulate into a powerful shift. Over time, you begin making decisions with more clarity. You speak with more confidence because you understand more. You carry yourself differently because you know you're growing. Learning becomes the fuel that strengthens your identity. Daily learning also protects your mind from the noise of the world. We live in a time where distractions are constant. If you don't intentionally feed your mind, the world will feed it for you. And what the world feeds you is often fear, anxiety, negativity, and comparison. But when you deliberately choose what enters your mind, you take back control of your direction. You filter out the unnecessary and invite in the useful. Instead of reacting to everything around you, you become someone who thinks, evaluates, and decides from a place of strength. Learning gives you mental armor that helps you handle challenges with calm and confidence. Another benefit of daily learning is that it raises your standards. When you read about people who have achieved remarkable things or mastered powerful habits, you start expecting more from yourself. You see what is possible, and possibility inspires action. You may not transform your life overnight, but your inner standards shift immediately. You start to recognize the habits that are holding you back. You become aware of the excuses you've been repeating. You start questioning your limitations. Learning challenges you to grow, and growth requires a new level of behavior. Daily learning also creates opportunities. When your mind is expanding, opportunities that were once invisible begin to appear. Solutions come more easily. Creativity flows more naturally. Conversations feel richer. You become someone who contributes value because you're constantly filling your mind with something meaningful. People notice the change. They sense the clarity in your thinking and the depth in your perspective. You become someone others respect and want to learn from. Feeding your mind every day becomes a lifestyle, not a task. It's a commitment to becoming a better version of yourself, not through force or pressure, but through steady growth. When you take in new ideas daily, you're not just learning, you're evolving. You're building a mind equipped for success, a mind that can solve problems, mind that can see possibilities, a mind prepared for the opportunities ahead. Starting your mornings with a clear structure sets the tone for your entire day. The first moments after you wake up hold enormous influence over your mindset, your energy, and the choices you make. When you begin your day with intention instead of chaos, you take control before the world has a chance to pull you in different directions. A morning routine anchors your mind, steadies your emotions, and prepares you for the challenges ahead. It's not just about doing a series of tasks. It's about preparing yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically so you can operate from strength rather than stress. A structured morning routine begins the night before. When you prepare simple things, your clothes, your schedule, your priorities, you remove unnecessary tension from the morning. You wake up knowing what you need to do instead of scrambling to figure it out. This sense of order influences your mood, your focus, and your productivity. A planned morning leads to a purposeful day, and a purposeful day leads to a productive week. Over time, this creates momentum. You stop rushing into your days and start leading them with clarity and calm. One of the most powerful elements of a morning routine is quiet time. Even a few minutes of silence gives your mind space to settle and reconnect with your goals. In a world filled with constant noise, those quiet moments become a sanctuary where ideas rise, priorities sharpen, and your direction becomes clear. When you start your day with silence instead of distraction, you strengthen your ability to think for yourself. You begin to respond instead of react. You move through the world with a centered mind. Physical movement in the morning also plays an important role. You don't need an intense workout. Even light stretching or a short walk signals to your body that it's time to activate. Movement increases your energy, boosts mental clarity, and helps you start the day feeling capable. When your body feels strong, your mind follows. The simple act of moving early in the day sends a message to yourself that you're committed to showing up with discipline and intention. Another important part of a morning routine is reviewing your goals. When you reconnect each morning with what matters most, distractions lose their power. You remember what you're working toward. You remember why your effort matters. You stay grounded in your vision instead of getting lost in the noise of the day. This daily reminder strengthens your discipline and sharpens your focus. It becomes harder to drift and easier to stay on track. A structured morning also reduces decision fatigue. When your morning is predictable, you waste less mental energy on small choices. You free your mind to concentrate on meaningful work rather than trivial decisions. This gives you more clarity for important tasks and more emotional bandwidth for challenges that may arise. A calm morning makes you more resilient. You handle pressure better because you started your day from a place of order, not overwhelmed. Over time, a solid morning routine reshapes your identity. you begin to see yourself as someone disciplined, consistent, and in control of your life. The routine becomes more than a habit, it becomes proof of your commitment to growth. Each morning becomes an opportunity to align yourself with your highest goals and bring intention into everything you do. Taking action immediately, even when the task feels small, inconvenient, or uncertain, creates a level of momentum that thinking alone can never produce. Most people pause, hesitate, or wait for the perfect alignment of conditions before they move. They tell themselves they need more clarity, more confidence, or more time. Yet the truth is that clarity comes from doing, not waiting. Confidence grows from movement, not contemplation. Time expands when you use it and shrinks when you postpone. The habit of acting quickly trains your mind to trust your decisions, your body to follow through before excuses have a chance to take root. When you act without delay, you build a powerful sense of internal leadership over your own life. The moment you delay a task, even a small one, resistance begins to grow. A simple action that could be completed in minutes becomes a heavy weight on your mind. You think about it, stress about it, revisit it, and eventually dread it. But when you handle things, immediately send the message, make the call, begin the project, you eliminate the burden before it can attach itself to you. This creates mental freedom. You move through your day with fewer loose ends pulling at your attention. Every completed action reinforces your discipline and strengthens your identity as someone who follows through instead of postponing. Acting immediately doesn't mean acting recklessly. It means recognizing that most of the opportunities that come your way don't require weeks of planning. They require a few seconds of courage. That short window between thought and action is where most dreams either grow or die. If you train yourself to shorten that gap, your life begins to change rapidly. You stop talking about what you will do someday and begin experiencing the results of what you're doing now. Those results, even the small ones, become fuel. They build momentum. And momentum makes the next action easier and the next opportunity more accessible. Momentum is one of the greatest advantages you can create for yourself. When you take action consistently, energy flows, progress compounds. You begin to feel a sense of movement in your life that others can't quite explain. While they wonder how you're advancing so quickly, the answer is simple. You're doing what they keep delaying. You're stepping forward when others step back. You're willing to begin imperfectly rather than wait indefinitely. Small actions repeated quickly create big shifts. You're not relying on motivation. You're relying on habit, and habit is far more dependable. Taking action immediately also builds trust in your own word. Every time you do what you said you would do, when you said you would do it, you strengthen your self-respect. You begin to see yourself as someone who can be counted on not only by others, but by yourself. That feeling creates a quiet power. You walk with more certainty because you know you won't abandon your responsibilities or your goals. When you trust yourself to act, you no longer need as much external pressure or inspiration. You become self-driven, self-directed, and self-motivated. This habit also opens doors. Many opportunities in life don't wait. They belong to the person who steps forward, not the one who hesitates. When you develop a pattern of taking immediate action, you place yourself in the path of possibilities that others miss. You become the person who responds while others reflect, who commits while others consider. Over time, this habit reshapes your destiny. You move from intention to execution, from dreaming to doing, from hoping to creating. Taking time each evening to reflect on your day creates a powerful cycle of awareness, correction, and growth. Most people move from one day to the next without ever stopping to examine what worked, what didn't, or what they could adjust. They live reactively, repeating the same mistakes, carrying the same frustrations, and wondering why nothing changes. But when you practice daily reflection, you turn every day into a lesson and every experience into an asset. It becomes a habit of gathering wisdom from your own life. You begin to understand yourself with more clarity, your tendencies, your strengths, your blind spots. You begin to see patterns that you may have missed in the rush of the day. This awareness becomes a foundation for improvement. Reflection doesn't require a long process. A simple review of your day is enough. You ask yourself questions that bring the truth to the surface. What did I accomplish today? Where did I fall short? What distracted me? What energized me? What do I need to adjust tomorrow? These questions shine a light on your personal habits. They reveal whether you used your time well or wasted it on things that don't matter. They help you identify the behaviors that move you forward and the ones that hold you back. When you reflect honestly, you develop a form of self-accountability that no one else can impose on you. You become your own coach. Evening reflection also helps you reinforce your progress. Most people underestimate the good they've done because they never take a moment to acknowledge it. But when you pause at the end of the day to recognize your efforts, the tasks you completed, the challenges you handled, the disciplines you maintained, you strengthen your confidence. You build momentum by reminding yourself that you are moving forward, even if the steps feel small. This habit protects your motivation. It keeps you aware of your growth and prevents discouragement from settling in. It also gives you a chance to correct your course before a small misstep becomes a pattern. Everyone has days when they drift, lose focus, or make poor choices. Without reflection, those days can multiply and turn into habits. But when you review your day honestly, you catch those slips early. You prevent one bad day from becoming a bad week, one bad week from becoming a bad month. This act alone can save you from unnecessary setbacks. You learn to make adjustments while the problem is still small and manageable. Reflection offers emotional benefits as well. It provides a moment to release tension, process experiences, and reset your mind. Instead of carrying the frustrations of the day into the next morning, you sort them out. You understand what caused them and how you can handle them differently. This creates emotional clarity. When you sleep with a clear mind, you wake up with renewed energy. Your mornings become lighter because you resolve the weight of the day before. Perhaps the most powerful effect of evening reflection is the way it trains you to live intentionally rather than automatically. When you know you will evaluate your day, you naturally begin making better choices throughout the day. You act with more focus because you know you'll later examine how you used your time. You keep your goals in mind because you'll be measuring your progress against them. This awareness changes the way you show up moment by moment. You start living with purpose, discipline, and clarity. Reflection turns each day into a stepping stone rather than a repeat of the last. It becomes the quiet practice that strengthens your discipline, sharpens your thinking, and aligns your actions with your goals. Small habits may seem insignificant in the moment, but when repeated consistently, they create powerful shifts in your identity, your behavior, and your results. Most transformations are not the product of enormous efforts made once. They are the result of tiny, steady actions practiced day after day. Each repetition strengthens your discipline. Each repetition reinforces your belief that you are capable of change. Each repetition moves you a little closer to the life you want. Success rarely happens suddenly. It happens in layers, built quietly by habits that compound over time. When you understand this, you stop underestimating small actions and start respecting their long-term power. A small habit creates two influences at once: the immediate result and the internal message. The result may be minor, a completed task, a healthier choice, a few pages read, but the internal message is far more important. Every time you follow through on a habit, you tell yourself, I am the kind of person who does this. You reinforce a new identity. And identity drives behavior. When you identify as someone disciplined, you act with discipline. When you identify as someone who values growth, you seek opportunities to grow. This shift doesn't happen all at once. It is built through small behaviors repeated consistently, forming a foundation of confidence that grows stronger with each action. Small habits also help you overcome the resistance that usually blocks bigger changes. Large goals often feel overwhelming. They demand too much at once, so people procrastinate or give up before they even begin. But small habits break the resistance. They give you a manageable starting point. You don't need to change your whole life in a week. You just need to repeat a simple action today. Once you've started, momentum takes over. The habit becomes easier. The action becomes natural. What once felt difficult begins to feel automatic. The resistance fades because you've built strength gradually instead of trying to force massive change overnight. Another power of small habits is the way they compound. Just as money grows with compound interest, your skills, discipline, and mindset grow through repeated action. Reading 10 pages a day becomes several books a year. Saving a few dollars consistently becomes a meaningful amount over time. Practicing gratitude each morning develops a more stable, positive outlook. These small investments accumulate until they produce results that seem disproportionate to the effort required. People often look at someone who has achieved success and believe they made one big leap. But in reality, it was a series of small habits practiced long enough to create a breakthrough. Small habits also protect your progress. Life is unpredictable. There will be days when you're tired, overwhelmed, or distracted. If your success depends on huge bursts of effort, you'll struggle to maintain it. But small habits are sustainable. They fit into even the busiest days. They allow you to maintain forward movement when everything else feels difficult. This consistency keeps you from sliding backward. Even on hard days, you do something. Even on discouraging days, you maintain your rhythm. That steady movement is what ultimately separates progress from stagnation. Over time, these small habits reshape how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. You begin to trust your own discipline because you're proving it daily. You begin to feel more capable because you're accumulating small wins. You begin to expect more from yourself because you're demonstrating your ability to follow through. Eventually, the transformation becomes undeniable. What began as simple, almost invisible actions grows into confidence, momentum, and long-lasting change.